They thought prison would break them. Then this happened. Subscribe for more real crime stories. Like, share, and join the discussion below. It was a cold November morning in 2015 when the peaceful facade of the New Jersey Women's Correctional Facility shattered. Inmate Michelle T. stood at the echoing cell block, her heart racing. Just moments earlier, she had overheard guards discussing a violent altercation that had taken place the night before, a fight that left one inmate, 34-year-old Sarah Collins, incapacitated. As Michelle recalled how Sarah had been a vocal advocate for reform, calling for more humane treatment of inmates and better mental health resources, dread washed over her. When the guards finally opened cell block B, the atmosphere felt heavy with fear. The prison had a track record of neglect, but this was different. Something horrific had happened in the shadows of those walls. As chaos erupted, the guards rushed past Michelle, their expressions grim. Sarah lay motionless on the floor, the stark fluorescent lights flickering above her. Everyone held their breath as the paramedics arrived, but it was too late. Sarah was pronounced dead at the scene. When the news of Sarah's death began to spread among the inmates, it sent ripples of fear and determination throughout the facility. What had happened? Had Sarah's fight for justice cost her life? And, more importantly, who would be held accountable? As the investigation began, whispers grew. It seemed clear that Sarah's death was not merely an unfortunate incident, but the culmination of a system that had failed her and many others. But one thing was certain: Sarah's story would not end here. As Michelle and her fellow inmates prepared to stand up for what they believed in, the question lingered. Would they find the courage to expose the hidden truths within their prison, even if it meant risking everything? To understand the weight of Sarah Collins's tragic death, we must first explore her life before the prison walls closed in. Raised in a small New Jersey town, Sarah had always been a fighter. Even as a child, she stood up for classmates who were bullied, her determination shining through. This fierce spirit followed her into adulthood, where she became a single mother working multiple jobs to provide for her son. However, life took a harsh turn when Sarah fell into a dangerous relationship. Her partner was abusive, and the cycle of domestic violence ensnared her in a battle she felt she couldn't win. In 2010, after years of suffering, desperation led Sarah to defend herself, resulting in her being incarcerated for manslaughter. While her actions stemmed from a place of survival, the legal system was unforgiving. Once inside the facility, Sarah's tenacity didn't fade. Instead, she transformed her pain into purpose. She became a vocal advocate for domestic violence awareness, tirelessly working to educate both inmates and guards about the impact of trauma. Sarah even started a support group aimed at helping fellow inmates overcome their own experiences with abuse. Her efforts caught the attention of prison reform advocates, who began to rally around her. But despite her strength, she was well aware of the personal risks of challenging the status quo, especially in an environment where dissent was not tolerated. As days went by in the prison, Sarah's need for systemic change grew stronger. Yet the guards viewed her activism as a threat rather than an opportunity for growth. Increased tension filled the air as Sarah's voice grew louder, advocating for better mental health services and more humane treatment of inmates. Many inmates admired her courage, but others feared the repercussions that could follow as guards made it clear they wanted to quell her influence. On the night before her untimely death, Sarah had been part of an impromptu gathering of inmates who were united in their quest for justice. The atmosphere had been electric, charged with determination. Through hushed conversations, they spoke of the systemic failures and the urgent need for change within the facility. As Sarah shared her vision, it became clear that she had become a beacon of hope for many. But as the cold air swept through the corridors, danger lurked just beyond the walls of companionship. Whispers of retaliation had grown louder. Sarah had faced threats before, and as the inmates prepared to take their stance, her voice became a target. Then came the fateful night that changed everything, leaving behind unanswered questions that echoed through the hallways. In an environment designed to break people down, Sarah Collins had become a force of resistance, only to find herself at the mercy of a system she fought so hard to change. The aftermath of Sarah's shocking death sent tremors throughout the prison community. As the days fused into weeks, inmates were left grappling with a complex mixture of sorrow and rage. Michelle and a small group of Sarah's closest supporters knew they could not let her death be in vain. They organized meetings, rallying fellow inmates to share their stories and bring attention to issues that had long been ignored. News of Sarah's death had finally broken through to the outside world, drawing media attention and community outrage. Advocates rallied alongside Sarah's family, demanding answers and accountability. As reports circulated about potential misconduct among guards, the atmosphere inside the facility grew increasingly tense. Inmates found themselves caught in the crossfire of an investigation that could determine the future of their rights. Michelle took it upon herself to lead the charge, inspired by Sarah's legacy. She pulled together other prisoners willing to stand up against the facility's established norms, prepared to face any repercussions. "We are not just numbers," Michelle would assert during their meetings, her voice resonating with conviction. "We are people with stories, and we owe it to Sarah to speak out." But with every small victory came new threats cast against them. The guards were not pleased. Investigators arrived to question inmates about the events leading up to Sarah's death. With fellow inmates sharing testimonies of Sarah's activism, the focus fell on how her outspoken nature may have contributed to her tragic fate. One inmate recalled overhearing heated exchanges between Sarah and a group of guards just hours before her death, cautioning that she opened a door that no one wanted opened. However, it was a piece of evidence discovered by Michelle that sent shockwaves through the investigation. During one of their clandestine meetings, she found a crumpled note Sarah had written earlier in the week, detailing threats made against her life. The note illuminated a desperate plea for help. It was chilling to realize that Sarah had foreseen her own fate. Fueled by anger and determination, Michelle handed the note to investigators, aware that this revelation could change everything. As they pressed forward with the investigation, new allegations of abuse surfaced, claiming that guards were manipulating inmates under various pretenses. But as the inquiry advanced, Michelle began to notice that certain inmates were mysteriously turning on one another, fear clawing at their courage. Rumors spread swiftly, and distrust seeped into the ranks of those who once stood united. The prison's oppressive environment seemed to close in even further, raising the stakes for Michelle and her supporters. Would the fear of retaliation stifle their efforts, or could they protect Sarah's legacy while fighting to ensure her story and those of countless others would not be silenced? As they stood at the precipice of a movement, it was increasingly clear that the journey ahead would be fraught with peril. Yet through it all, the flickering light of hope remained. A spark had been ignited, destined to challenge the darkness within those prison walls. What would become of those who dared to stand up? And could justice truly be served in a system designed to suppress it?